Let me try a proper intro. Hi, I'm Squish. Welcome to my channel. We do whatever I feel like. I don't know what to tell you. You already know what this video is about, okay? You already know it's about Katseye. I need to talk about it. I need to talk about it to somebody. Couple disclaimers to get out the gate. Number one, I am not an expert. I am not, please don't take this video as gospel. This is just a bunch of my own opinions, a bunch of my own statements. This is what I have found. I am not an expert. Do your own research. Respectfully, do your own research. Please don't rely on me, okay? I'm gonna give you a summary. This is also absolutely not everything. This is just like what I know and what I've been able to find, okay? Disclaimers out the way. This is all just stuff that I have seen online. I am not an expert. Please don't come for me. K-pop stans, please. Please don't come for me. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl in the world. I'm gonna get you up to speed on everything that I know. So this is gonna be in 4 chapters. There's gonna be 4 sections, okay? Also, if you see me looking over here at this stuff here, okay, just let me, okay? I have notes. There's a lot of things. I want to make sure I'm not missing everything. Sometimes I'm like reading a statement. So it's going to be broken up into 4 chapters. The first one is going to be Dream Academy. You don't know what that is. We're going to talk about it, okay? You're going to know. Second part is going to be like just the general stuff that's happened in Katseye so that you're kind of familiar. You know, you're going to know who they are and then like what they've been doing. Third part is the juicy part. This is the Manon hiatus. We're going to talk about all that. And the fourth part is going to be like summary, my thoughts, my opinions, the part that you can click out of the video. You don't have to watch that part. But if you care about my thoughts, opinions, you can watch it. Cool. Okay. Who are Katseye? Katseye is a global girl group. They were trained in K-pop format, but they're not K-pop. They're like K-pop adjacent. It's like using the K-pop formula for training and all of that stuff, but tailored to a Western audience because they're trying to bridge that gap. They're managed by Hybe x Geffen. Okay, so Geffen Records is more known like in the US, Canada, etc. Hybe is a K-pop group, so they have like a Western section, I guess, for lack of a better term. Anyway, they're the ones overseeing it. Basically, Hybe x Geffen decided we want to have this global girl group, and so they wanted to go do some scouting. They put together this training program. Okay, and K-pop training is notoriously like very intense. It's long hours. It's really, really harsh. It's very critical. But the goal is they want to have this like really perfect group. You have to be very perfect. The standards are ridiculous. Again, not a K-pop expert. I've just learned along the way by being fans of Katseye specifically. So Dream Academy was like the training program. So they had a whole bunch of girls. I don't remember how many. It's not important. And the goal was they were going to eventually pick 6. There were going to be 6 members of this global girl group, blah, blah, blah. They go through this rigorous training and they're trying to find the right fit. They filmed all of it. They put it out as a documentary. That's Dream Academy. Dream Academy Debut, I think is officially what it was called. They put out this documentary. You can still watch it. It's on Netflix. Just know that like it's really heavily edited and I don't know that it's the best representation. However, all of these girls auditioned and they were in the program. The Netflix doc comes out. That's when I was introduced to Katseye. I had seen a bit of their stuff on TikTok, but I didn't know who they were. I just heard, I think it was Touch was the song that was out. And so I saw this documentary and I watched it. And they have all these girls doing these like really intense training. They're doing dancing, it's on singing, it's on stage presence, etc. Because historically in K-pop, there are like these different roles in a group. So there's usually like your main dancer, there's going to be a main singer, there's going to be like an all-rounder who's just kind of like good at all the things, but not specifically to one. There's going to be the visual. Okay, and the visual literally is like star power. They talk about this like it's when you have that it factor. You can't define, it just is, and you just have that. So they're looking for these specific qualities in these girls, right? So they can build out this group. They don't tell the girls that there's going to be a survival show. Like at the end of the training, there's going to be a survival show and everyone around the world is going to vote and they're going to be put through this kind of competition. I'm not going to get into the details of Dream Academy other than just know that there was like some shady shit. They didn't tell the girls that they were going to do a survival show. They had them training for like some of these girls 2 years in this program to then be put into a survival show. It's a whole thing. You can watch the documentary if you want. There's a lot more information there. However, the important thing that you need to know for this, to understand what's happening right now, the thing that I am obsessed with in my brain, is that all of the girls had auditioned and they wanted to be a part of this program, right? They knew going into it, they knew what K-pop was, they understood what they were getting into, etc. So there are 6 girls in Katseye, we've got Danny, we've got Sophia, we've got Manon, we've got Megan, there's Yunche, and there's Laura. And they cover kind of all the different regions of the world. They're trying to have a diverse girl group, okay? We're going to focus on Manon. And to be clear, this is important. People fuck it up all the time. Her name is not Manon. It's not Manu. It's not Manon. It's Manon. Manon. It's not hard to say her name properly. Her name is Manon, okay? So, Manon was scouted specifically by Hybe. She did not audition to be in this program. She didn't know what any of this was. She was scouted by Hybe execs who were looking for a visual. They came across her. I think she had a little bit of a following on socials, and she was originally from Switzerland. So she is half black and half Swiss. Okay, so then they were like, this is perfect. They actually fly out trainers to train with her in Switzerland without telling the other girls that they have her. And they're training her because she's never really danced professionally. She's never sang professionally, all of that stuff, right? This is all new to her, right? But she was interested. So they send out professionals to train her and kind of teach her the basics so that she can enter the program with the other girls. Okay, so she gets a crash course in Switzerland. They spend a lot of money. They do all of this stuff. She flies in and then she meets the girls. Now, in the documentary, they specifically edited her to appear lazy and like she didn't care, okay? Because when she got there, remember, she didn't know what K-pop was. She had no concept of how these programs run. She didn't know how like grueling and intense program was. She's from Switzerland, which is they have a different culture for working. It's just a different mentality, right? And she was kind of just dropped in. So she was missing rehearsals because she wasn't feeling well, or she maybe didn't feel that they were that important. She didn't understand how serious and how intense and how much effort you had to put into it. She has said this herself. These are not me putting words in her mouth. She said this herself. With that being said, she gets there and the girls are upset because they're seeing her as being lazy, and not putting in enough work and not caring. But then when they get to the survival show, she's very popular. She gets a lot of votes from the fan base of who they want to keep in the show, all of that stuff, right? Fast forward through some of the survival show. Finally, they film this part where they bring a therapist in, which again, can we talk about filming the therapy session? Huh? Again, it's weird. They bring the girls in and they're like, okay, we're going to have you sit down with Manon and talk. And Manon is like, I didn't realize like how intense this was. I didn't understand that this was that important. She was like, back home, when you're sick, you stay home. Like, it's very different to Western culture where like you push through, whether that's correct or not. It's just a very different culture, work culture specifically, right? And same with K-pop. K-pop is historically, they overwork those girls. They overwork those groups. There's no rest, right? She wasn't used to that. So she just didn't understand. It's not her fault. And she admitted it. And so they had this little chat and then she got her shit together. She started showing up. She started putting in more work. She was staying late, right? She very quickly caught up. But the documentary still put out all of this information and framed it because they needed like a villain, right? So Manon was the really easy villain to say, oh, she was lazy and maybe undeserving. They kind of framed it that way. And then she gets into the group. This documentary didn't come out until after the girls had already debuted and they were already out in the world. They had a single out, all of that jazz. So I don't know why they would do that. I mean, I do know why they would do that, for drama, for clicks, for views, for money, etc. Because the company looks at it and goes, hell yeah, we've got drama, right? And everyone's going to watch it and not thinking about the impact that has on the girls or the impact that has on Manon. This is filmed like I think a year and a half prior to when it came out. Like all of this stuff happened over a year prior. But when you put it out that much later, people, regardless of whether you tell them that that came out or that that was filmed earlier, they still look at it as like, oh, Manon is lazy. She's entitled. She's ungrateful. She doesn't deserve to be there, even though there's been a year of hard work and they're all very close and it's not that way anymore. Doesn't matter, right? So that's your background. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. If you go look up Dream Academy, you watch the show, there's a bunch of other like shady things that they do and ick and weird stuff. I'm not going to get into all of it because it's just not important. And also I'm not trying to make like a full ass hour long video. I'm trying to give you like, these are the points of what happened and we're going to talk about it after. Okay, so it's part 1. Now we're going to get into part 2, which is going to be like what happened with Katseye after they debuted. Okay, now Katseye is a group. They pick the 6, they debut, They put out some music. They're doing their performances. They did like a trip to Korea to do a whole bunch of filming and meet and greets, things like that. All like very K-pop style events, because again, they're kind of like K-pop for the Western audience. That's what they're trying to be, right? Is like bridge that gap. So again, I'm not going to cover absolutely everything that they've done. I want to cover things that are important to what we're talking about right now. So like what's happening. Things you need to be aware of is that there have been some weird things happening with Manon. Okay. So sometimes the girls have missed like a performance. If there was a live performance and one of them wasn't feeling well and they still perform, it'll be 5 instead of 6. And they've been really upfront about that publicly, that like, hey, if we can perform, we're going to perform. We're not going to cancel an entire performance because one of the girls is sick. We're also not going to make one of the girls work when they're not feeling well, right? We're going to prioritize health, supposedly. So there are times where there was one point where I think Megan had a back injury. So she wasn't present for, I think, I want to say it was like a month. It wasn't like a super long time. There was a period of time where it was like sort of a hiatus where she just wasn't doing anything because she had to rest, right? She has an injury. There was another time where Laura I think she had an ankle injury, so she couldn't perform in a music video that was scheduled, and they couldn't move the shoot, so they worked around it. They found a way to have her in the video, just not dancing, so that she didn't like further injure herself. So they have shown that they can do this. They can adapt. And Manon has come out publicly in the past and said she has a weak immune system. She does tend to get sick more often. So there are a lot of times where she's absent from there's not a lot of times, but she's missed some things, and people are really hyper fixated on the things that she misses versus anybody else because it's Manon, because she's lazy, right? And that's been the narrative that's been pushed, which is really unfortunate. So they come out, she's still the main visual, she still gets a ton of support. However, there were shady things that the label was doing, and all of these things on their own wouldn't be super suspicious. You'd be like, oh, it was just an honest mistake, right? It can't be microaggressions. It can't be a targeted anything if they were on their own. But when you look at them all together, there's a problem. So for example, we have the debut song, right? The song Debut came out. They do like a regular music video, but then they also have a choreography music video. They put out the debut choreography video, and Manon is hidden in the back, like through several sections. I'm going to put some excerpts up here for you to see. I can't play the music, obviously, because copyright and all that jazz. I don't want to get struck, please. It's very clear if you watch the music video in full. For a large portion of it, she's like entirely hidden in the back. You can't see her, which is a weird way to organize choreography for a group of 6, to have one member hidden. And for the record, this is not a common thing. They fixed this very shortly after. You didn't see the same issue. They clearly heard the message that like, y'all fucked up. You can't put the black girl in the back. What are you doing? Right? So by itself, okay, oops, they're learning how to choreograph for 6, whatever. Okay, so we'll let that be. Second thing, and again, these are not all the things, these are just like the things that I remember and the things that I took note of. I was like, that's weird. These might not be in chronological order as well. Again, I'm not here to educate entirely. Please don't use me as your source. There's so many other people that have done deep dives. You can find proper timelines other places. I'm just here to give you the summary. Okay, so next we have Gabriella, which is another one of their singles that comes out. Gabriella, I think still currently maybe is their most streamed song. Got really, really popular. With Gabriella, same thing. They had like a standard music video, right? That was more like a skit that they filmed. And then there's a separate video that is a choreography. It's like the performance video where it's got the whole dance routine and it's not all the extras. The day that they were going to do the choreography one, Manon was sick. I don't remember. She had an injury or something. Like she wasn't like sick. I could be wrong. Don't come for me. She had an injury of some kind. She couldn't dance. So they kept her out of the music video entirely, which you'd say, okay, but they've done that with other things, but they haven't done that in other scenarios. Laura had an ankle injury when they were doing the Game Boy music video, the choreography music video. Laura's in that music video. They very quickly, same day, found a way to have her in the video without dancing. They just kind of like reworked the shots, but they didn't do that for Manon and Gabriella. Weird. Again, on its own, looks like it just wouldn't work with the style of choreography. Like you could find justifications, but there's a pattern, right? So next, we're not done. Christmas time rolls around. They do a whole bunch of promo. There's like holiday things. I don't know. Again, I'm not a K-pop person, so like a lot of this is stuff that I'm not familiar with, but they put out they were like like a magazine, but not a magazine. It was like a magazine. I don't know. It had a bunch of like photos, think like photo spreads of the girls. It had like fun facts and behind the scenes stuff, like that kind of thing. I'm trying to think of a good example of something that's similar, but I can't. But anyways, they put this book together and it had a whole bunch of like just kind of fun facts and trivia and cute stuff. They were asking them your favorite food or what was your favorite experience this year, stuff like that. One of them was, what is your favorite or what's your best feature? Or what do you think is your best feature or your best trait? I think is how it was worded. And I'm not kidding. Like all the other girls had like, oh, your bravery, your strength, your whatever. Manon had two of her options were your laziness, your selfishness. And it wasn't a joke. Like none of the other girls had ones that were like jokey, haha. Only Manon. Again, pushing this narrative of the lazy black girl, which is a stereotype, which is an issue, right? What? How did that... Girl. Anyway. Last one I want to talk about. And again, this is not even all of them. These are just kind of like the big ones that I wanted to highlight to make it clear that this is a pattern of behavior. So Katseye partnered with Glossier because again, K-pop, it's really huge to do sponsorships. They're like always marketing something. Always. It's insane. The Gap brand deal thing, partnership, whatever you want to call it, collab. That was huge. They've done brand deals with, I've lost track of how many. It's like, that's the machine. Good for them. Get your bag. But they do an ad with Glossier. Manon was there for the ad for the photo shoot. She's in all of the promo, okay? The day that the girls decided to go take a picture with the billboard, right? Because they put up a big billboard of like Katseye X Glossier, whatever. And it's a picture of all of the girls for the ad. It's on a big billboard. I think it was in LA is where they took the picture. But the day that the billboard went up, Manon was sick, okay? She was in the photo shoot. She's on the billboard, but she was sick the day they went to see the billboard, I guess. So I'm not kidding. The picture that they posted, I'm gonna insert it here. They specifically framed the girls in the shot to hide Manon's face. And then they posted that to make it look like she wasn't there, but she was in the photo shoot. And she wasn't there the day they went to go take that picture. Again, I don't know why the decision was made to like take that picture when Manon wasn't there. The billboard's going to be there, I would assume, for more than a single day. And then two, if you're going to do that, maybe don't cover her face. Like, really? You couldn't rearrange you couldn't change the angle in any fashion to not cover up Manon? Really? Girl. What? Just know that like all of this information, again, is not everything that has happened. I'm telling you like the important things you need to know leading up to the main topic of today, which is Manon goes on hiatus. Okay, now we can talk about the hiatus, the whole reason that we're here, the whole reason that I'm obsessed. Again, this is where we get into like, I want to make sure that I'm not misquoting. So I'm reading. I'm going to put it up on the screen. You can read it. It'll be like around here-ish. I don't fucking know. I'll put it somewhere. Okay. So February 20th of this year, 2026, Hybe Geffen puts out a statement. They put it out on Weverse, which is like the platform that the girls use to communicate with fans, and also like where they put out all these announcements. It's like one of Hybe's. They own this platform. I don't know. I'm not on it. I just know that it exists. So they put out a statement February 20th. It says, notice, important Katseye update. Hello. After open and thoughtful conversations together, we are sharing that Manon will be taking a temporary hiatus from group activities to focus on her health and well-being. We fully support this decision. Katseye remains committed to showing up for one another and for the fans who mean everything to us. The group will continue scheduled activities during this time, and we look forward to being together again when the time is right. Thank you to our icons for your continued love, patience, understanding, blah, blah, blah. HXG. All right, on its own, you'd be like, okay, Manon's not feeling well. She needs to take an extended hiatus. Sure, okay, fine. However, shortly after, Manon puts out her own statement on Weverse, okay, which again, I will insert. And she says, hi, friends. I want you to hear this from me. I'm healthy, I'm okay, and I'm taking care of myself. Thank you for checking in. Sometimes things unfold in ways we don't fully control, but I'm trusting the bigger picture. Thank you for standing by me. I love you endlessly and can't wait to see you again. Huh? So, Hybe Geffen says she's taking hiatus to focus on her health and well-being, which implies that like she's ill or there's something going on. Manon comes out shortly after and says, hey, no, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm fine. And says this like, things unfold in ways we don't control. that doesn't sound like she made the decision to go on this hiatus, right? Because a hiatus means she's not involved in group activities. She's not going to be in any of the promos, all of that stuff for like a period of time, whether it's defined or they kind of leave it open. So then immediately people are kind of like, what's going on? And then that's it. That's like all we get. Then some other stuff starts happening, right? Then you start seeing rumblings on social media. People are digging into like her history, her what tweets she's liked, like all that stuff. And so people start kind of compiling and noticing that like, oh, isn't it convenient how the lazy black girl goes on hiatus? This is also right before a new era is starting. New era being like a new EP, right? They're like gearing up to release new music and kind of get the spotlight back on them. This is just before Coachella. They were about to do they were doing a tour for like Lollapalooza in Latin America. So they had like 5 dates there. Like they were booked and busy. And all of a sudden she's going on hiatus, which would make sense if she genuinely needed to take a step back. But her statement doesn't imply that at all. It implies that like she's being put on this hiatus. So things start going out about like the mistreatment of black girls in girl groups, because that is a pattern. You can dig into it. There's lots of videos that do a far better job explaining it than I ever could. So I'm not going to try. Please do your research. And someone caught she liked one of them. Like she liked it on Instagram or something. She quickly like unliked it. Probably wasn't supposed to do that or didn't think someone would notice. I don't know. Internet sleuths be sleuthing. I don't know how they do any of that. Okay. But they catch her liking this. You've got a whole bunch of people in Hollywood that are coming out in like public support of Manon, saying, hey, we're here for you. We support you. She stays relatively quiet, but every once in a while puts up like a little story that's just like, hey, I'm good. And she looks well. She looks fine. And there's radio silence from HypeGIF and they haven't said anything. They won't address it at all. So time goes on. And of course, then the leaks happen. So there were leaks of their current song that just came out recently called Pinky Up. Whether the leak came from the company, that literally every time Katseye puts something new out, there's a leak beforehand. So I'm pretty sure it's intentional. Is it a leak? Whatever. But it's like this low quality footage, what looks like footage of, I guess, them practicing the choreography for the music video or whatever. And Manon is clearly in it. And then there's a leak of like the song. And again, like bad quality, whatever, shitty phone recording, but Manon's on that track. So then everyone's like, oh, maybe this hiatus is all just like one big, like a marketing ploy, because they know that Manon's the one that is talked about the most. There's always everything that she does is scrutinized. There's always this chatter around her because of the way the documentary presented her, etc. So like maybe this is all just marketing. So we're like, oh, she's going to come back for Pinky Up for sure. And there's going to be like this big, haha, it's all like whatever. Well, Pinky Up comes out and that doesn't happen. She's not in Pinky Up. She's not in the track. She's not in the music video. She's not in any of the promo for it. And the day that the song came out where she wasn't in any of promo, any of the anything, she like doesn't exist at all. She took Katseye out of her bio, which everyone noticed. We were like, ooh, shit. So that would imply that she didn't know that that was going to happen. And then there's an interview that came out. So then a Nylon Mag interview comes out that was obviously shot previously. It was like clearly shot like a while back, right? Because these things are always like super far in advance. And Manon was in it. So clearly there's leaks of her in the choreography. There's leaks of her being on the track, for having vocals on the track, right? She was clearly starting to do some of the promo for it, but now all of a sudden she's not in it, which implies that the company like reshot some of this stuff and specifically took her out. And now there's more stuff coming out for like their future performances, and they're like, you can pre-order their new album that comes out in August apparently, and it's one of 5. She's not in the official photos. It's starting to look like she's not coming back, but nobody's saying anything. And then Coachella was like one of her dreams. They literally had put out an interview a little bit before her hiatus of her saying like that was her dream. She's been going to Coachella like for several years as like a patron, like just as like a person that enjoys it. And that was a big dream for her because they were performing at Coachella and it was huge. It was a huge deal, right? She was so excited and they've been training. She was so excited for everything that was happening this year. And so maybe she'll come back for Coachella. Maybe that's the big aha. Of course it wasn't. Of course she didn't perform at Coachella, but she was at Coachella because she put on her stories that she was at Coachella. People spotted her there. She was at Sabrina Carpenter's performance. She didn't go to Katseye's set, which obviously I don't think that would be safe for her in any way to be seen there. But she was at Sabrina Carpenter's in weekend 1, because Coachella is like a 2-weekend thing. It's like 2 back-to-back. Friday, I think it's just Friday, Saturday. I don't know. Maybe it's on Sunday. I don't know. But there's Friday, Saturday, like the big days for sure. And the second weekend, same thing. She's at Coachella, doesn't go to the Katseye set, but Pink Panthers brought Manon out onto the stage for her performance. So Manon still got to perform at Coachella, but not with Katseye. And again, throughout this entire thing, the only thing that Hype Geffen has ever said was the initial, she's going on hiatus for her health and well-being, which we know is bullshit. And then they did confirm, I think like a week before Coachella, they were like, they finally confirmed that Manon would not be performing at Coachella. They won't say anything else. They won't address anything else. Manon also came out and put like another post, I think like a month ago. I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was another similar like, hey, wanted to check in. I miss you all. I love you all endlessly. She did make a statement about how her and Hype Geffen are having positive conversations and she feels supported. It all felt very kind of like PR. No one knows what's happening. And now here we are. It's April 30th when I'm filming this, and we still have no idea. She's been on hiatus for a while. It's been mostly radio silence. The girls haven't talked about her, which obviously they can't. There's no world where they can. She's out here living life. She was skiing at one point, like early hiatus. I think that she was on a ski trip with friends. She's been spotted in LA. She was like went to one of Justin Bieber's parties or something like that. Like she's not ill. She's very clearly like out doing well, etc., etc. So this whole like it's for her health and well-being doesn't make any sense. And it's them saying that like someone going on hiatus is typically it's their choice. It's usually to avoid like burnout, right? Like they're fatigued. They need a break. This is not that. They're trying to say that it is. Doesn't add up. Anyway, that's where we're at. That's like it's your cliff notes. I can't do the big deep dive, okay? I don't have it in me. Not yet. Maybe in a couple years. Okay? So that's where we're at. That's what we know. Now you can click out of the video if you want, unless you want to hear my thoughts and opinions, which is the part where I'm like, now that you're caught up, we can talk about it. If you don't want to hear my thoughts, that's fine. You can click out. We'll see you later. It's cool. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. But if you want to hear my thoughts, hold up. Okay, everyone that's left, I assume you're here because you want to hear my thoughts. Again, disclaimer, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not trying to influence anybody. I'm not trying to tell you what to believe. Go look at all the things yourself. Go see all the information. There's tons out there. The Katseye subreddit, they got tons of information there. There's lots of people that have done deep dive videos, etc., etc. Okay, I'm not saying that anything that I say is fact. Please make your own opinions. Okay, couple points that I want to talk about. First of all, there is very clearly shitty behavior happening at the label. Okay, you can't deny when you look at everything that has happened that Manon's not being unfairly treated, that she is being singled out. It seems like they're trying to get her out of the group, but not knowing how to do that. I don't know why. Again, we don't know what happens behind the scenes, especially in these like K-pop groups like HYBE. Their contracts are very strict. It's a lot of like, you can't post what we don't approve. You can't do anything we don't approve. You can't say things. Like they're very much not allowed to say anything. So like the girls not commenting on it is not because they don't want to, it's because they can't, 100%. Now, why Hype wants to get Manon out of Katseye, I don't know. And I don't think we're ever going to know. I don't think, even if they find a way to like end her contract early and let her go do her own thing, or let her be a solo artist, or whatever their plan is for her, I don't think we'll ever actually know what's going on, because I'm sure even if they let her go, there'll be like an NDA that she can't talk about it or something. However, I do think they're trying to paint the picture of the lazy black girl. I think they're trying to spin it so that everyone thinks that Manon was not working as hard as the other girls, and that it's because she wasn't showing up enough, or she was missing too many rehearsals, or she was too ill, or whatever. Now, I think that two things can be true at the same time. I think that on one hand, Manon has said that she has a weak immune system. She's come out and said that she does have some mental health struggles. I don't think she's ever been super like clear on what they are, but she has said that she has a weak immune system. She tends to get sick very often, right? So I think that can be true, and that can cause her to not be able to attend as often, or cause her to miss rehearsals. But I also think that they can be pushing a narrative because it's convenient for them. She comes from a different culture of when you're sick, you rest, right? She has said that from the beginning. The K-pop groups are notoriously overworked. They want to get the most out of them, right? They want to get them to do all the sponsorships. They want to maximize their popularity. These girls, they've put out videos where it's like the behind the scenes of their tour, where the girls are saying that they've slept like 2 hours that day. They went back to back from the plane to the performance. They've performed through injuries. They've been exhausted, etc. We know that the girls are overworked. The difference is that I don't think Manon is willing to put up with that. I don't think she's willing to overwork herself, again, because she comes from a culture where that's not acceptable and that's not normal. When you're not feeling well, you don't push yourself. So it wouldn't surprise me if she's pushing back about being overworked and needing the extra time, and probably advocating for the girls, and the label doesn't like that. And so they're using this Manon is lazy she's missing too much time. They're using this as a way to push her out because they don't like that they can't overwork her and that she won't tolerate it. The difference is that Manon doesn't need Katseye. She really doesn't. She could do something on her own without them if she can get out of her contract. So I think while she probably is missing some rehearsals, I'm sure all of them have missed some time. I think she's probably missing time because she's genuinely ill and they just don't like that she won't push through and push herself through all of that. Just my opinion. Now, the other thing that drives me insane that nobody is talking about with this whole Katseye situation. Why is nobody talking about the absurdity of all of the parents of the girls who went through Dream Academy, like Sophia, Lara, Megan, even Yunche, all of the girls that signed up for this, because remember, Manon did sign up for it, but without fully understanding what it was at first. All of the other girls, they knew what they were getting into. They knew about K-pop training. They understood it was going to be really intense and really strict, etc., right? Most of the girls, when they applied, they were either like 18, 19, or they were underage. Like they were like 16 when they applied to this program. And if you look into their history, again, I'm not doing a deep dive because that's a whole other video. They all have a history of, like, Danny was on America's Got Talent, I think, or So You Think You Can Dance, one of them. She's been a dancer her whole life. She's been in ballroom. She's been on shows, right? She's been a competition dancer since, like, she could walk. I think Sophia's mom is a famous, like, actress or performer, like, theater, I think, like a Broadway performer, think that a style, I think. And as, like, again, Sophia's performed all her life, etc., right? Megan's mom has had her through, like, dancing and vocal training and all of that jazz. Okay. The parents had to sign off on this. The parents had to sign off on putting these girls through this grueling program that they knew was going to lead to them getting into like a K-pop adjacent group. And this is, again, if you're somebody that's familiar with K-pop, like the more you dig into it, you can't tell me you didn't know that that's what was going to happen to these girls. You can't tell me you didn't know that the label was going to be predatory. We know that like the music industry in general is predatory towards young women, right? We know that it takes advantage of young women and them not knowing any better. You can't put the blame on the girls for everything that's happening, right? You can't put the blame on Manon for not knowing because, again, she wasn't from that world. She didn't know. And you can't blame the girls because they were raised that way, right? Like Laura's family, I think, owns a record label or something. Like she's grown up in that industry. So you can't tell me you didn't know that you were setting them up for this kind of, you can't tell me you didn't know what you were getting them into. That's where I think it's shitty. I think it's shitty to set up young women to be put into these really, really strict contracts. When they're going to put them through the system, they've already done how many sponsorships or brand deals or whatever, right? They're pushing these girls to do all of these huge performances. They're doing 14-hour days. They're doing all this training. They're going through injuries, right? Like even in Dream Academy, like a couple of the girls had to have hip surgery. Like not the girls in Katseye, but like contestants. Like there's this whole history of just, they're clearly overworking them. They're not prioritizing their health. The girls can't prioritize their health. I'm sure they're not making a ton because these K-pop contracts and whatnot and any music industry contract that is set up the way theirs is, 100%, they're not making a ton. The label's making a crap ton of money because they invested, right? They invested all of this training, etc., and they provide all of these things. So like they're gonna get their money back. They're gonna get their money out of these girls, and then they'll be done. The girls will be like 25, and that'll be it. And they'll be exhausted, and they'll be tired, and they'll be bitter because the industry's gonna spit them out. Meanwhile, you have everybody criticizing the girls. If you want my opinion, I think there's shitty things happening. I think Manon was absolutely mistreated. I think they're setting her up to be like the scapegoat. They're setting her up to look, it doesn't matter what she does, right? I think she's not going to be in the next era. I think at some point they're going to come out and say that she's pursuing other things. They'll put out some like weird PR statement about how she's pursuing other things, and it'll be a bunch of bullshit, and we know that, but like that's what's going to happen. I think what they didn't expect is like the amount of attention or the amount of backlash is happening towards the company and that their narrative isn't working. I don't know if they expected all the support from Manon that came out from other celebrities, right? And like this kind of rallying around her and her being able to kind of get her voice out there a little bit in ways that she's allowed to, that doesn't like, you know, break contracts or get her into legal hassles. I don't think they anticipated that, and I think now they don't know what to do because I don't think she can come back to the group at this point. That'd be fucking weird. What, she just comes back and everything's fine? How does that work? But I also think if she leaves, Katseye as a whole is going to suffer because you're going to lose her entire fan base. People are going to be upset regardless. I don't know where you go from here. I don't know if Katseye survives the next year. I don't know if their new EP that comes out, it like comes out in August, I guess. If it doesn't have Manon in it, I don't know how well it does, you know? And I also don't know that the label cares, respectfully. So anyway, that's the summary. That's like the real Cliff Notes summary of everything that's happening with Katseye. And there's always like something new coming out. Like somebody new is talking, and like there's a bunch of other stuff that I didn't include because like it's little stuff. It's like, oh, somebody liked this on Instagram, or like we saw a friend of hers said this thing, or you know what I mean? Like there's a lot more tiny things that are happening, but they're maybe like unverifiable, or we don't know if they actually happened, or they're like word of mouth things. Like someone said they saw her doing this, but we don't know. There's a bunch of weird shit. So that's what I'm obsessed with right now. I will continue to be obsessed until we know what's happening with Manon. I need to know. So that's it. Thanks for tuning into this episode of What's Eating Squish. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to call this. What are we going to call this? What's Eating Squish is kind of fun. I don't know. But anywho, if you like the video, please give it a like. Give it a little thumbs up. If you like listening to me yap, you could subscribe. You don't have to, but you could. I'd really appreciate it if you did. Also, if you want to hang out live, this is like a side project for me. We have way more fun live. So I stream on Twitch 4 times a week, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. CST, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday at 6 p.m. CST. So love to have you. All my links are below. If you want to come hang out with us live, we'd love to have you. But just know that if you show up there, there's no refunds. But now you're filled in. That's what my brain thinks about when I can't sleep at night currently. And that's what I'm going to continue to think about until we get answers. And now, once you've watched the video, you can come hang out live and you can come tell me that you watched it and that you're caught up and that you're equally as obsessed with this whole situation as I am. I don't know when the next video will be. Again, I don't know until I find something new that I want to yap about. Something will come around. Or we'll get an update here and then I'll do an update. Maybe. I don't know. If you have something you want to hear me yap about, tell me in the comments. Tell me what you think. What do you want to hear my opinion on? My very uneducated, just me, just a girl opinion on. And I'll see you when I see you. I don't know when that's going to be. I'll see you around. Probably. Maybe. Okay, bye forever. See you whenever.